Alright guys, welcome back to Battlefield Vietnam. And there actually is a new co-op server in the midst. We've got Argor.us. They've actually got Battlefield Vietnam 1942 and 2 servers, to my knowledge. I haven't actually played on the 1942 server, but I have had the luxury of playing on the Battlefield 2 server last night, so that was good fun. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. And so today, I'm going to muck around using the original Noob tube. So, back in 2004, long before Call of Duty 4 or Modern Warfare 2 even, you know, the big games for the Noob tube, we've actually got Vietnam's XM148 attachment to the Car 15. And so, for the Mac Salt on certain maps in Vietnam, you've got the original Noob tube, and I'm getting to use it here on Argor.us, the new Vietnam server and new Battlefield 2 server. Actually, the Battlefield 2 and 1940 servers might be a little bit older. I don't know. I don't really know the owners at all. I'm not really affiliated with them at all. My main jam in Vietnam is playing the Easy Prey server, another co-op server hosted by Power Stomp in the States. So, just checking him out. He's probably got the probably the best co-op server so far. Though I do have a bit of faith in these guys and sort of helping revive co-op a bit as well. But yeah, just look at that, the kill count, man. Just raking it in. That game tracker score that you can farm up on the server is immense. Speaking of, I'm second at the moment. On the quest to first. Now if you really want to abuse the Noob tube against the bots, I mean even against the players as well, but like, people will ban you if you do this shit for too long. But if you really want to abuse it, I'm going to come up the ramp, up the stairs. Yeah. Now, in bots you can literally farm up like a kill death ratio of like 60 or 100 or something, like, depending on how safely you play this and how well your bots hold out at this point. Because I mean, you can always add like the ratio, instead of going 1-to-1 at 27 to 27 players, you'd have like 2-to-1 or 3-to-1. But then the problem is you're much more likely to get overrun here, even though you're much less likely to have all your kills stolen, you know, and you can really pump up the enemy numbers. Because I've got teammates as well, I gotta have to be careful. I think I just killed 2 of them doing that, so that'll cost me points. But depending on one of the settings with how Game Tracker records the scores, sometimes it works off kills and sometimes it works off points, I've noticed. I remember in Griffin's server, which used to give bonus points for flag captures, and everyone would capture because you got 10 for capturing and 5 for neutralizing instead of 2 and 1, respectively. People would often just farm up captures and not really worry about getting a lot of kills, but on all the other co-op servers where it's, you know, the regular 2 points for a capture, 1 for a neutralize, it seems to scale off your kills, and then if you get team kills, or, you know, you kill yourself and lose the points because of explosion damage and things like that. Like, most of the time when you crash, you don't actually lose points, you just get the death. But you're not really actually deliberately trying to suicide by explosion or have a failed explosion, you know. It's when you cost yourself 2 points. Yeah, there's something I noticed with Game Tracker. And then with other games in Game Tracker, like, get this, with Wolfenstein, right, which has like enemy territory in particular, sorry, you've got like experience, which is basically your player score as well. And so you accrue that between games, but the thing is, because you join a server with, say, 1200 experience saved, or you finish a map and you go from 1200 to 1300, basically every game state counts that XP as your score, plus whatever you gain over the course of the game, and then when you go to the next game, it loads it all over again. So, you know, you can play 3 hours worth on a server and rack up, you know, 100,000 points because really you've accrued 2k experience and just played a whole bunch of 10-15 minute rounds out. So Vietnam, well, any of the battlefields don't seem to work that way because they've got such a rudimentary, such fucking low effort scoring system from back when dinosaurs roamed the earth. It took a small power plant to run a fridge. But the one thing I guess Battlefield 2's got over Vietnam and 1942 is you get points for assists and for healing. Medics can actually revive people as well, which makes them, you know, the most broken class in terms of scoring points. Yeah, look, we're using the original Noob chip, and just look at how fucking good it is. Like, I'm not even really hiding up there, really whoring the fucking crate that much. I sort of did at the start. I don't know if there's ammo here anyway. And this map in particular is sort of one of the most built for score whoring. It's sort of harder to pull off against players, of course, you know. Against players, best off, like, I don't know, actually getting good at infantry play, or, you know, just doing the old-fashioned camping in vehicles. There was sort of a period where 1942 and Vietnam were active enough that there actually was sort of an, you know, a good infantry meta, and people were actually playing the game quite competitively. But then, you know, now that the games have died, we're back to 2006 where everyone's just fucking camping in tanks or jumping straight in the Phantom because they don't like a fair dogfight. And then people wonder why you go and just farm up in co-op with your friends or by yourself. It's like, well, it's kind of just about being the most abusive player you can be sometimes in Conquest in the smaller communities. Because I know, you know, not everyone wants to play Battlefield to play like a fucking esports pro gamer. You know, you actually want to get to fuck around, and the heli co-pilots or the fucking Phantom with the heat-seeking vehicle, heat-seeking rockets, or fucking just drive around the tanks and stuff like that. So there's no faulting that sort of play. No faulting that at all. But I guess what's sort of annoying is that it's sort of, there's not really any space to play like a really infantry-only map where all vehicles are modded out. You know, it might even be modded so that the spawns are closer, or certain spawns are uncapturable, and it's literally just about playing like a good infantry clan war map. Or if you are going to have aerial vehicles in the mix, make it really sort of balanced and possibly even segmented across the map. Get creative. I don't know. Like I said, it was all sort of there in the late noughties for a little bit. And the player base is still around and sort of matured. The people that were around were really interested in the game. But anyway guys, that's been a bit of a rant about Battlefield. The early ones in particular. The classics, where it all started. Because let's be honest, like if it wasn't for such a limiting, outdated engine, Vietnam and 1942 would probably still be popular to this day. And the fact that, you know, since the GameSpy servers went down, things were never the same, because pretty much right up until that point, it was very easy to actually maintain a player base in Vietnam, in 1942, in the demos for both. Like, 1942 had 2 demos with active player bases for 10 years. And then the GameSpy servers went down and people actually had to put in work to find games, you know, rather than just downloading an old copy of the game. and suddenly those communities just vanished overnight. And so, you know, these bigger games are sort of, because people are able to use things like Game Tracker and OpenSpy. Big shout outs to them. It's really only because of those services, all these games, these legacy titles, because you've got like Game Ranger, which does a mix of strategy and shooters, and then Voobly, which just does strategy games as well. That really sort of cover a lot of the titles that Game Tracker alone's not really fitting for. But yeah, guys, this is Argor, and the beauty is you've got balanced teams. There is unfortunately team damage, although they might be fortunate if you want to muck around with a mate life hell. And you've got basically all the maps, I think. All the co-op map space, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I'll have a link to the Game Tracker in the description if I put this on YouTube. And yeah, I'm just getting a bit of score from the Game Tracker. Got to hold on to the second place at the moment. So this might be a bit of incentive for people to jump on, because there's actually, it's a new server, so it takes a couple of 100 points, which takes less than an hour against bots. And I might actually play a less abusive map if I swap servers. Let's see what's going on over on Easy Prey. But the admins of here are actually sort of in talks with other server hosts, like Stomp from Easy Prey and like the guys from the Hello community, about how to make their AI better. Because the problem is, the base AI, they're sort of putting up a reasonable fight here. It's just a super easily abusable choke, right? And you know, I've got a bullshit noob tube weapon. But on Operation Irving in particular, and Game Warden, it's just so easy to just farm kills in helis and tanks, and the AI just spend most of it locked up, not really even fighting each other, and it's just the players just got free reign to just farm the fuck out of it. So it'd be nice to sort of have a bit more of an interactive game on Irving. Plus on top of that, I do like the spawn changes that Power Stomp has in his version for co-op. I don't necessarily want the Argor guys to copy it, but I do want them to sort of think about how they can possibly change the map up and have some of the original maps be customized server side. Because you can do it like with moving flags and stuff without having people have to download the mod. Like you could have this flag down here, for instance, make this point a hell of a lot easier to take. Or you could, you know, you could actually disable that crate, like even on the mod. You come up to it, it's there, but you stand next to it, it does nothing. You've actually got to come inside and use the med cabinet, for instance. Like, I'm not a huge modding buff, but I played across the 3 games. Well, across the early Battlefields enough to sort of know most of the ins and outs of server-side v client-side modding. Because again, like, even 1942's Secret Weapons demo had a huge modding following for a demo game with a single map. You wouldn't think, but there was probably over a dozen different variants of mods that I played, and I know the modders would have probably played about 2 dozen. All of one simple church map in Holland, I think it was. Anyway guys, that's enough of me. I might go jump on Stomp server for a bit.